This is Jake Wynn again. We have moved about 2.5 blocks further south, so we're about 5 blocks from the Missing Soldiers Office Museum on the National Mall. So you'll recognize over my shoulder United States Capitol building, which was being built and completed in its current form during the Civil War era, during the Civil War years. So it actually came to look like this and finished up in 1863. So this is would have been a site that Clara Barton would have seen. Also, here at this site, we can actually touch on a couple of different aspects of Civil War Washington and of Clara Barton's experience here. So we are just a few steps off of 7th Street, which passed from right outside Clara Barton's door at 488, where she lived, 7th Street, down to the city docks. So she was very comfortable and very used to riding down this street to go to the Washington city docks, to get onto steamers, to head off to the battlefields during the Civil War. So this is an area that Barton would have been very familiar with. We are also very close here to Washington's largest Civil War hospital. So I would be remiss if, while at this location, I didn't show it to you, because it's a place that I'm sure many of you have been before and probably didn't realize you were standing atop the site of Armory Square Hospital here in Washington. So if we look over here, John is super helpful with the camera today. We'll pan over. The site of the National Air and Space Museum was the site of Armory Square Hospital, is Washington's largest Civil War hospital. Also the site where closest to the city docks, where most of the patients did arrive here from various battlefields throughout the Civil War. So this is oftentimes, Armory Square was where the worst patients in terms of their condition were oftentimes treated. For those of you who may have seen in the past my presentations about James Garfield, this hospital was actually run for much of the Civil War by Dr. Willard Bliss, the gentleman who will become infamous for his medical treatment of James Garfield in 1881, who was assassinated actually right over here. So John will pan around. This isn't necessarily explicitly Civil War history, but the site of the National Gallery of Art was the train station, the 6th Street train station, where James Garfield was assassinated in 1881. So a lot of Civil War medical connections right in this general area here, and I always love telling the story of James Garfield and what happened in 1881, so this is a good spot to do it. So Clara Barton, very familiar with this particular quarter of the city. I do want to spin a further kind of, what does this be, a 180? Come around over here to look westward down the mall. You'll note the Washington Monument, which was only constructed about a quarter of the way to its present-day height at the time of the Civil War. And down at the other end of the what was then kind of not the mall as we know it today, there was a canal running right through this area. At the other end of the mall, where the White House is located, that's another area kind of in the federal quarter, federal part of the city that Clara Barton was pretty familiar with. Barton, while she's trying to found the Missing Soldiers Office, is going to make several efforts to meet Abraham Lincoln. She is never successful in actually meeting him in person, despite going to the White House 5 separate times in order to meet him. She never has the opportunity to do so. But nevertheless, through many of her friends and connections, right up there on Capitol Hill, she was able to get approval from the Lincoln administration to start the Missing Soldiers Office at the end of the Civil War. And on March 11th, 1865, Abraham Lincoln formally recognized Barton's efforts. In a brief note that appeared in newspapers all across the country, it said, quote, "To the friends of missing persons, Miss Clara Barton has kindly offered to search for the missing prisoners of war. Please address her, giving her the name, regiment, and company of any missing prisoner." So I want to thank you all for watching with us today. We have a few more videos coming. If you have been enjoying our little virtual tour, admittedly a pretty short one, it is very cold out here today, but nevertheless a good day in the neighborhood. Hope you'll like and share the video. Feel free to comment below, and if you we'll answer those comments. If you have any questions, we'll answer those when we get back to the museum in just a little while. But this is Jake Wynn signing off from the National Mall. We'll see you again in a few minutes.